ZipRecruiter is a proud sponsor of Without Warning podcast. Use code word WOW and search for jobs anytime, anywhere.
The Lauren Agee case was hastily closed by authorities, but many questions remain. Come behind the curtain with private investigator Sheila Wysocki as she uncovers the truth about what happened to Lauren. This is Without Warning. Warning: the following episode contains details about sexual violence and elements that are graphic in nature.
On the last episode, you heard from Sheriff Patrick Ray of DeKalb County. In this episode, you are going to hear from the lead detective, Jeremy Taylor. You will hear how Jeremy Taylor came to his conclusion that Lauren fell off the cliff and floated over to the second cove. You will hear about the cliff not being secured. People were allowed inside the tape. You will also hear that there was no bagging and tagging of evidence. There was no rape kit done. No investigation on the second area where Lauren was last seen. Listen for Jeremy Taylor's qualifications, his training, his certifications, education. You will also hear the protocol that was followed or not. After hearing all the evidence, you can decide whether or not Lauren was given a proper investigation. Let's listen in to Jeremy Taylor's deposition.
Will the court reporter please swear the witness?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Taylor.
Morning.
Could you please state and spell your name for the record?
Jeremy Taylor, Jeremytaylor.
Thank you, sir. Are you currently taking any medication that would impair your ability to hear or think clearly?
No, sir.
Okay. Is there any reason this morning you cannot give true and accurate testimony?
No, sir.
Have you had any alcohol in the last 24 hours?
No, sir.
Okay. Have you used any drugs in the last 24 hours?
No, sir.
Okay. Are you on any prescription medication?
No, sir.
Thank you. Now you understand to your right is the court reporter, and everything that you say will be transcribed by her.
Yes.
Although we are not in a courtroom, everything you say is also taken under oath, and it has the same power and effect as if you were in a courtroom. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Accordingly, you have to testify to the best of your abilities, and if you fail to do so, you could be charged with perjury if you were found to be purposefully lying. You understand all that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Same vein, just like in the courtroom, it's important that you give oral answers to questions so that the court reporter can transcribe them. Please avoid or nodding or yes and no, as opposed to just yes and no. Okay?
Yes, sir.
If you need to take a break, just let me know. We'll probably take 1 or 2 breaks. At any time, you can ask for one. I only ask that if you're in the middle of a question, please answer it before taking a break. If you don't understand what I'm saying, I'll try to be clear. But if you don't, please ask clarifying questions to make sure you understand the question that's being asked. Similarly, don't guess at what the answer is. If you know it, please state it. If not, please tell me that you don't or why you don't. Okay? Is there any of that that's unclear to you?
No, sir.
Now, have you ever been in a deposition before?
Not in a deposition, no.
Okay. You have testified, I presume, in court cases?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But never in this setting outside of the courtroom with a
No,
court
sir.
reporter and a video?
No,
Okay.
sir.
Are you currently represented by an attorney?
No, sir.
What, if anything, did you do to prepare for this deposition?
I haven't. Didn't have time. Only got it like Thursday of last week, and then I had the weekend and today.
Now, you originally were subpoenaed many months ago, correct?
Yes.
So you knew that you were going to be deposed in this case
I
generally?
didn't know if I would or not. Last I heard that they didn't know if it was going or not, because one of them had already been dismissed.
What did you hear?
I didn't know if it was going or not. I haven't talked to anybody.
How did you hear that one of the cases was dismissed?
That was on, I guess the sheriff told me.
Okay.
He was talking to me about it.
When did you speak? This is Sheriff Ray?
Yes.
When did you speak to Sheriff Ray about that?
Been months ago.
Okay. And where did that conversation take place?
I have no idea. I don't even remember exactly what was said. I just know that it was in conversation.
Was it a phone call? Was it in person?
I don't remember. I mean, that's been months ago.
Do you remember the last time you talked to Sheriff Ray?
That's been a while ago too. We don't talk every day.
Now,
We haven't talked in a while.
sure. The conversation that you had with him where Sheriff Ray told you that one of the cases had been dismissed, was that while you were still employed by him?
No.
Okay. What occasions would you have to speak to Sheriff Ray outside of employment?
What occasions?
Yeah, when would you see him? When would you talk to him?
I mean, we talked quite a bit there for a while. I mean, we was friends outside of work.
Okay. Would you socialize together?
Yeah.
What sort of things would you do together?
We went to auctions together. We worked on the farm together. We text back and forth some, talk on the phone, things like that.
How do you know Sheriff Ray?
Just working with him. I met him, I started DeKalb County Sheriff's Department in 2007, and got to know him through that, and we became good friends.
So it sounds like y'all are pretty friendly, so if you were friendly, why?
We was then. We haven't talked in some time now.
Okay, so what happened with the friendship?
We just parted ways, I guess.
Was there an incident or a reason that you parted ways?
Not particularly, no. I mean, I work at Warren County Sheriff's Department now, and he's got things going on, I got things going on, and we just kind of stopped talking.
And so
I've been going there for 2 years, I guess.
Do you all ever send text messages to each other?
We haven't in a while.
But did you used to?
Oh, yeah.
Send emails to each other?
I don't remember any emails, unless I was working or something. I might have got one.
Do you recall whether Sheriff Ray texted you about this case?
I don't think so. I mean, he could have some time ago. I mean, like I said, I don't remember.
Okay. I guess I'm trying to narrow down this part when Sheriff Ray told you that the case had been dismissed against one of the defendants.
Mm-hmm.
Could you give me a year that took place?
No, I'm not. I mean, it was either. No, I don't know.
Now, you were first subpoenaed in this case last fall. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so that at that time, you knew that you were going to be deposed, or you believed that you were going to be deposed in connection with this lawsuit?
Yes.
Okay. And so your conversation with Sheriff Ray must have taken place after you received that subpoena.
I don't remember if it did or not.
Did you ever inform him that you had been subpoenaed in this case?
Yes.
Okay. How did you do that?
I just told him that I got a subpoena. Him and the other detective that worked it didn't get a subpoena. I think I spoke to you on the phone about that, and I told you that, or when we talked, I said something about, are we going to, is this going to go or something, and you said expect that you think it was going to be sometime whenever, I don't know, and then I got a subpoena, and then that got whatever, I don't know what happened with it.
But we got pushed back and delayed
yes.
a couple times.
Yeah. And I said, I asked you, I forgot now exactly what I asked you, but you said that you're trying to get a deposition for certain people or whatever to find out, to gather information, I guess. And that's when I told you that the sheriff or the other detective, Robert Patrick, hasn't been subpoenaed. And I think whoever it was, I'm pretty sure it was you that I talked to that said that that I wrote down the name and said you take that. So, but as far as like in-depth conversation and stuff like that, I didn't get in depth with it.
So what other conversations can you recall about this lawsuit?
Just what's on TV, what they would see on, or what I would see on TV, and the things that they would say and things like that.
And what was that?
I don't specifically know every detail about it. I just know that we had conversations about the what was on, what they would say about what happened on TV and or what happened there, and they had those other deputies down there that was throwing that dummy off the cliff and things like that, And I don't remember the exact conversations that we had, what word for word. I don't even remember now what was on the TV.
When you say we had conversations, you mean you and Sheriff Ray?
Yes.
So you and Sheriff Ray would talk about the news coverage of this case?
Yes.
Okay. Would you usually do that over the phone?
Yeah, usually.
Okay. Did they ever send you text messages about the news coverage, like, hey, go watch Channel 4 or watch Channel 17?
Could have. I don't remember if he called or would text.
Okay. But as far as you're aware, he kept up with the lawsuit as it progressed?
Yeah, I mean, I would say somewhat. I don't know exactly what he done.
So I take it you haven't met with Sheriff Ray about this deposition?
That I haven't?
You have not?
No, I haven't.
This deposition. Okay. Did you review your case file or any materials when you knew that you were going to be asked questions about this matter?
No, I did not. I don't have the case file.
Besides Sheriff Ray, have you spoken with anybody else about this lawsuit?
Yesterday, talked to the county lawyer,
Okay, and who is that?
Hilton Conger.
Okay. Now, he doesn't represent you in this matter, does he?
No, he does not.
What did you reach out to him, or did he reach out to you?
No, I went in his office yesterday. It's the
And
first time I had time.
What did you tell him?
I just asked him I just said, hey, I got a subpoena. What can I expect? You know, I've never been in a deposition before. You're the county attorney, you know.
Did he prepare you for any of this?
No, he just said they're going to ask you questions, to answer them best you can, and that's about it.
How long did you guys meet yesterday?
I was probably there 15 minutes, maybe.
Did you know Mr. Conger before that meeting?
I did.
And what was the capacity you knew him?
He was a lawyer.
You just knew him in his capacity as the county attorney?
Yes.
How old are you, sir?
30. I'll be 33 in 5 days, June 10th.
Well, happy birthday.
32.
Coming up. And where were you born?
Smithville, Tennessee.
Lived there your whole life?
Yes.
Okay. Do you live there now?
Yes.
Where'd you go to high school?
DeKalb High School, DeKalb County.
Did you graduate from DeKalb?
No, I graduated. Actually, I got my GED from Motlow.
How long did you?
I was homeschooled there for a little while.
When did you leave DeKalb High School?
2002.
Okay. And what year was that in school? Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior?
I think it was my sophomore year.
And what were the circumstances of you leaving school?
I had to work.
What did you do for work?
I had to work with my grandfather. He was doing construction.
Okay. And how old were you at the time?
15.
Okay. Did you stay in the construction work for a while?
I did.
Until how old?
I was 21, I think, when I started the Sheriff's Department.
So you worked for 6 years with your grandfather?
Yes.
What sort of stuff were you doing? Did you have a particular specialty?
Mostly drywall.
So that was between 2002 approximately and 2008?
7.
Okay, 2002, 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you eventually got your GED from Motlow State.
I got it in 2002.
Okay, so the same year that you left DeKalb High, you got your GED from Motlow.
I left DeKalb at the high school. It was either 2001 or 2002, so I got it somewhere around there. It's been a long time ago.
Okay. This whole time, did you reside in the same location?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you stay within DeKalb County?
Yes.
Before you went to work at the Sheriff's Department, did you have any other professional experience besides working in construction with your grandfather?
No, sir.
Okay. Tell me how you ended up working for the Sheriff's Department.
I'd always wanted to be a cop, and my friends, I had several friends that worked there, and they had an opening, and I interviewed for it, and he hired me.
Okay. And when you say he hired you, who hired you?
The sheriff, Patrick Ray.
Okay. Before that time, when Sheriff Ray hired you, had you known him?
No, I did not.
Okay. What friends did you have in the department at that time when you were hired?
At that time, I had Patrick Britton. He's the sergeant there now. Chris McMillan. Shane Martin. Jody Johnson. Bobby Johnson. There's been so many that came and left, but that's the ones I can recall.
Did you know these folks generally from high school?
Yes. That and just being in the community.
Growing up together?
Yeah.
What official job title were you hired for first at the Sheriff's Department?
Correctional officer.
Okay. And that mean you work in the county jail?
Yes.
What were your duties at that time?
Taking care of the inmates, feeding the inmates, giving their meds, making sure they don't escape.
What sort of training did you receive to be a correctional officer?
I had to go through the, I remember what it's called, it's the week course. It's a school they send you to get you certified as a correctional officer.
Do you remember where that school was?
I do not.
Was it in the state of Tennessee?
Yes.
Okay. It was approximately 40 hours of coursework?
Yes.
Okay. And you first started that position in 2007?
Yes, September 2007.
And how long did you remain a correctional officer?
I went to the road. I went to the police academy October the 5th, 2008. I graduated December 2008, but I was on the road before that.
What does it mean to be on the road?
As a deputy. Back then, you could be a deputy for 6 months before you had to go to the police academy.
So, just want to make sure my math is right. You spent about 6 months as a correctional officer before you became a deputy?
That's correct.
What led to that promotion?
They had a job opening, and he seemed fit that I was ready for it.
Did you have any training before you became a deputy? Separate from the course to become a correctional officer?
Not official training, no.
Okay. By unofficial training, somebody sort of shadowed you on the job or something to that effect?
I used to ride with the deputy son.
Okay. And so then in October approximately of 2008, you went to police academy?
Yes.
Where was that?
Walter State Community College in Greene County, Greenville, Tennessee.
Okay. And that took place for over 2 months?
Yes.
Did you receive any specialized training other than to be an officer?
At that time?
Yes.
No.
So you became a full-time deputy in December of 2008?
Yes.
Okay. How long did you serve as just a deputy?
I started from 2008 to 2011. And then I got promoted to detective.
Okay. What was the circumstances of your promotion?
I like to work narcotics. I was assigned. I busted a lot of meth labs and arrested a lot of people with drugs. He assigned me before I became detective to the drug detective. And that was my sole job, is to work with the drug detective. I was still a deputy, but I hadn't got promoted or anything. But that was my job. That detective left. That job was open, and he gave me that job.
Did you get any training between 2008 and 2011?
Just on the job stuff. I mean, I went to in-service every year.
But no specific coursework or specialized training?
I went to Interdiction Plus, which is drug recognition, search vehicles, things like that.
That was within the state of Tennessee?
Yes.
Okay. And after you became a detective in 2011, it sounds like you first worked with the narcotics unit?
Yes.
How long did you do that?
No, the whole time I was there, till 2016.
Okay. Did you receive other training to be a detective between 2011 and 2016?
Yes. I was meth certified. I went to arson investigation, interview and interrogation.
And how long are those courses approximately? A week, couple days each?
No, the meth school is it's a week and a half long, and I don't remember how long the other ones was. They was within a week.
Okay. Did you get any specialized investigation into death investigation? Specialized training for death investigations?
No, not that I remember.
Did you all have individual detectives within the sheriff's department who did specialize in death investigations?
Not that I know of, no.
So if a murder case was to be investigated, how would that be assigned within the sheriff's department?
The sheriff would assign it to somebody, or call the TBI, or call the DA's office, or something like that.
Before you were called in to investigate the death in this matter of Lauren Agee, how many death investigations had you led?
Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't even dare to say.
More than 10?
Yes, probably.
More than 20?
It'd be hard to say if it was more than 20. I would say in between 10 and 20.
Okay.
I mean, it could be more than that. I don't know. I've been on the scene with a bunch of deaths.
Now, those are death investigations. How many of those investigations resulted in a homicide case?
None that I worked.
Okay. So you've never worked a homicide case that went to trial?
No.
So I'm going to make an assumption here. I want you to tell me whether I'm right or wrong. That means the 10 to 20 death cases that you investigated either were determined to be accidental or medically related?
Yeah, I don't know that.
Well, what other causes of death besides homicide are there?
Well, I mean, what I went to, there was natural causes, things like that. People have been sick, suicides. That's what I can recall off the top of my head that I worked.
So natural causes, suicides, and accidental deaths?
Yes.
Did you work any car accidents, I presume?
THP works those.
Okay. You didn't have any within the county?
I mean, I would be there. When you say worked them,
Never as the lead investigator?
no.
Okay.
And in these death investigations, we had 2 detectives and maybe the sheriff. He would be on the scene. So if something were to be wrong, he would call out the TBI or call the DA's office.
Okay. And just to be clear, but between the time you started the Sheriff's Department in 2007 and the time that you investigated this case in 2015, in those 8 years, you had received no specialized training in investigating deaths?
No.
Okay. Do you know whether anyone else in the DeKalb County Sheriff's Department had had any training investigating deaths?
I do not know.
Okay. And do you have family here in DeKalb County?
Yes, I do.
Siblings?
I have a sister. Yes.
She doesn't work with the city or the county or the Sheriff's Department?
Yes.
She does?
Not DeKalb County. Warren County.
Okay. So you currently work with her at the Warren County Sheriff's Department?
Yeah, she's a correctional officer.
Okay. Now, was she working there before you worked there?
No.
She
She
came
started
on
after me.
Okay.
I tried to talk her out of it. It didn't work.
Understood. Siblings can't always be reasoned with.
No. She's 10 years younger than me, too. So,
Now, a few more background questions. During your time at the Sheriff's Department, did you have a professional email account for work?
yes, I don't know what it is.
Okay. But you were assigned an email address associated with DeKalb County?
Yes.
Okay. Now, before you were asked to investigate this case in summer of 2015, I'm going to ask you if you knew any of these individuals prior to that time.
Okay.
Okay. Did you know Sherry Smith?
I did not.
Did you know her husband, Michael Smith?
No.
Okay. Did you know Hannah Palmer?
No.
Did you know Lauren Agee?
No.
Did you know Brix Gambrell?
No.
Did you know Christopher Stout?
No.
Did you know Aaron Lilly?
No.
Okay. Had you had any interactions with any of those people, to your knowledge, before the date you were asked to investigate this case?
No.
Okay. And so if Aaron Lilly had said that he had known you prior to this time, that would be incorrect?
Yes.
Okay. And the first time you met all these individuals was in the course of your investigation?
Yes.
In the course of the investigation and afterwards, did you maintain any friendships with any of the individuals I've named?
No.
Anybody else I did not name whose name you came across in the course of this investigation, did you have a personal relationship with?
No.
Okay. When I say the name Aaron Lilly, do you know who I'm speaking about?
Yes.
Okay. When was the last time that you spoke to Aaron Lilly?
I don't know the date or anything like that. It was the last time I interviewed him.
So it was in the course of an official interview?
Yes.
Do you ever recall having any phone contact with Aaron Lilly after the interview?
I don't recall that.
Do you recall your phone number at the time you were working this investigation in 2015? I take it you know the district attorney for DeKalb County?
Bryant Dunaway. I don't know him personally. I know who he is.
Okay. When did you first come to know who he was?
When he got elected.
Do you recall what year he got elected?
I do not.
2016, 2014?
I don't know.
But he got elected when you were still working in the Sheriff's Department, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What professional interactions did you have with General Dunaway?
Just case files that I had that I'd present to him, and we reviewed some cases, some drug cases and stuff like that.
Did you ever have any conversations with General Dunaway about the present case and the investigation of the death of Lauren Agee?
I don't know specifically him. I did his investigator.
Okay, and who is that?
I think it's, I can't recall his first name. Is it Sladden? Slayton? I think it's his last name. I don't recall his first name.
Okay. And what was the context?
I knew two Slaytons. They're, I want to think Robert Slayton, but I could be wrong about that.
Is he related to Nicholas Slayton?
I do not know.
Okay.
There used to be a meth truck driver that was also a Slayton, and now I get them too confused.
There's also Slayton who was involved in that big Iraq case that happened over during the war. They had the Nisser Square shootings. He's from up there too. And how did Mr. Slayton, or this investigator, come into contact with you?
I just knew him from working up there, and the same, review case files and stuff like that, go over.
But did he want to talk to you about this case specifically?
No, the sheriff wanted me to let him review it to make sure things was all right, see if he's seen anything.
And when did that take place?
I don't recall. It was when I worked out there, when I was working this case.
It was not not since November?
No, not for me.
Okay. And how did that come to happen? What did the sheriff say to you about this?
He said just get with the DA's office and let them review the case, and I think it was right towards the end of when we closed it out.
Okay. Did you ever speak to Mr. Sladden or anybody else from the district attorney's office after you'd originally closed the case?
I don't think so. I can't recall a conversation that I did.
I want to take a moment and thank Ryan Ryder of RRR Investigations out of Hurst, Texas, for his assistance in a case using his 3D scanning machine called Pharaoh. Ryan is able to do a reconstruction of a crime scene or crash. If you're looking for this kind of expertise, reach out to Ryan at 817-905-9779 or go online and look up RRRinvestigations.com.
Okay, I get the timeline specifically right. When did you leave the sheriff's department?
2016. I think it's April 25th, maybe.
So this has been more than 2 years now?
Yes.
Okay. So none of that's happened the last 2 years?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't done anything with this case since I left there.
But you've spoken to Sheriff Ray about it since April 2016?
Yes.
Okay. What has Sheriff Ray told you about this case?
Just about the news and about that. I don't remember exactly what he said about the one that got dismissed or threw out or whatever it was that happened. It was I don't recall of any other conversations that we had about this case as far as in depth about it. I know we didn't in depth.
Did he express any displeasure with the case, happiness at dismissal?
Just the news media covering it and stuff like that. Some of the stuff that I don't remember now what was said, but there was a few things that I guess that maybe he didn't like or was against him or something like that. I don't know, but we never did get in depth with it. It was just kind of like, it's on again and, stuff like that.
Is it fair to say that he was displeased with the press about the case?
Yeah.
And was he pleased that the case had been dismissed against one of the defendants?
He didn't say that.
Do you know who the judge was in this case?
I do not.
Did the sheriff ever talk about that?
No. I don't even know if I know who the defendant. They named off those defendants, so I would assume it would be the girl. I don't know. I don't even know if I knew that at that time who it was that got dismissed.
But you weren't aware of which judge was handling it or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Now the names that I've listed above here, the people who I believe at some point you talked to or who were connected to this case, do you know if any of them had previously had any contact with the sheriff's office?
I don't know. You talking about the names you read off earlier?
That's correct.
If they had any conversations with the sheriff's department or contact?
Let me ask this. In the course of your work, you interact with people in the community.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Some folks are witnesses, some folks are suspects, some folks eventually become defendants.
Yes, sir.
Is that fair?
In the community?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And in the course of your work, you get to know people in the community through your work in one of those capacities.
Yes, sir.
They're witnesses, they're victims, they are defendants or suspects. Is that fair?
Could turn into that, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And the names that I've listed off here, Aaron Lilly, Brix Gambrell, Hannah Palmer, Christopher Stout, Lauren Agee, were you aware that any of those people had any previous contact with anyone in your department in one of those capacities?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Do you know what it means to deconflict a case?
I do not.
Okay. You know that some police departments are doing investigations that are also being done by the TBI or the FBI or the DEA. Mm-hmm. Have you ever had another law enforcement agency come and ask you about names, whether you know them or whether you're working a case involving them?
Not that I know of. Not that I can recall.
Okay. You were a narcotics detective, correct?
Are you talking about, let me just make sure I'm clear, you're talking about like an agency call me and say, hey, do you know so-and-so? I heard they're running down.
That's correct.
Yes.
That's happened.
Yes, not with those.
Oh, I understand. I'm going to get there. Build to it.
Yeah.
Make sure we got some background here.
Yeah.
And when, in your capacity as a detective, we'll say specifically as a narcotics detective, did you ever reach out to the Drug Enforcement Agency and say, hey, do you have any information about these individuals? They're suspects in my cases.
Yes.
Okay. Did you also do that internally within your police department?
Yes.
Okay. So there'd be cases, and you would check with sort of the institutional knowledge of your fellow colleagues to find out if they had any information about the people that you were working with.
Yes.
Okay. In this case, the names that I've listed here, Aaron Lilly, Briggs Gambrell, Hannah Palmer, Christopher Stout, Lauren Agee, did you ever run those names by anyone else in your department to see if anyone had knowledge about them?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Why did you not do that?
It was, well, I wouldn't say it was that they knew who they was. I'd say about every deputy in our department knew what was going on, as far as the what had happened down there at the lake. There was a few deputies down there. Nobody had said that they knew who they was or anything like that. Nobody came to me and said, hey, I know them or anything like that, and they wasn't from DeKalb County.
So just to be clear, you assumed that if anybody in the department knew any of these people, they would just tell you?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Since they wasn't from there.
Yeah, but you didn't just specifically make any requests of information about those individuals among the department?
No, sir, I didn't.
You said those individuals were not from DeKalb County. Did you know generally where they were from, what part of the state?
I didn't until I talked to them.
And when you learned that, where were they from as far as you were aware?
I don't recall now. I mean, from the Nashville area. I think, we went to Murfreesboro for one of them. I don't remember which one it was, but best I can recall.
Refresh your recollection if I told you where Miss Agee was from?
I think the Nashville Hermitage area, maybe.
Hendersonville sound familiar, Sumner County?
Yeah.
And you would have known at that time that she was from Sumner County, the time you were doing the investigation?
Yes, I went to her house.
Okay. Which was in Sumner County, her house where she lived with her parents?
All that, I'm not familiar with all that, like Nashville, Sumner County and all that. I'm not from there, but sure. Yes, I did go to her house.
Okay. Did you know the sheriff of Sumner County?
I did not.
You didn't then?
No.
Did you do anything to ask that individual or anyone in the Sumner County Sheriff's Department about the names that I've been discussing?
No, I didn't.
Okay. And just to be clear, on your current employment, you're working at the Sheriff's Department in which county?
Warren
County?
Yes, sir.
And what are you doing there? Still a detective?
No, I'm a deputy.
And do you have a specialized role as a deputy?
No, sir.
You're general deputy?
Yes.
Do you still do narcotics cases?
No, I mean, not specifically. If I arrest somebody for it, then I get that case, but that's not my official job.
Okay. What is your official job?
Just a deputy.
And you work full-time?
Yes.
How many hours a week is that?
I work 12-hour shifts, 7 days. And I work every 2 weeks I work 7 days, 86 hours in 2 weeks.
Okay, understood. Have you done any training since you've been at the Warren County Sheriff's Department?
Yes.
And what was that?
We had our in-service. We go over firearms, just mandatory stuff that we have to go over every year. Child sex, evoc, mental ill, firearms training.
Have you done any training with respect to death investigations?
I have not.
Now, you had a colleague working with you on this investigation named Detective Robert Patrick, is that correct?
That's correct.
Was Robert Patrick senior to you or junior to you in the department?
Junior.
How many years had Detective Patrick been working the case when he was assigned to work with you in July of 2015?
How long has he been working at the Sheriff's Department or
That's
the
correct.
case?
The Sheriff's Department.
He's been working at the Sheriff's Department. I think he started in 2010 or 11.
Okay. Do you know when he became a deputy? Do you know when he became a detective?
I don't recall.
That had been much long before he started working this case?
I don't recall when he started as a detective.
Fair to say he was a junior detective on the investigation?
Yes.
Okay.
He's a chief deputy now.
And at that time, was he assigned to the case the same time you were or after?
He was the first one on scene. I was on call, and I went out of town, so he took call for me. Because we have, detectives have call rotation 1 week out of the month. We have to be on call for anything. When it's during the day shift, they was criminal, him, there might have just been 3 of us that time. But there was 2 criminal detectives, maybe 3, and a drug detective. And I was the drug detective. I was on call this particular week that this happened. He took the call for me because I was out of town, and he called me when I was out of town and told me what had happened and stuff, and I told him I'd come back, have him work. So by the time I got there, they had already got her to the hospital.
Now, do you recall that first conversation you had with Detective Patrick? What he told you generally?
I don't recall. I think he just briefed me on the case about what was going on.
And what were the general things? You knew that there was a death?
Yeah, I did. He told me, the best I can recall, he told me that it was a female, that I guess a fisherman or somebody had found her, said that she had some friends down there, and I think that they had been camping up there. That's what I can recall, that I'm pretty sure that's what we had a conversation about.
Okay. And at that time, do you know whether Detective Patrick had any training with death investigations?
I do not know.
Do you have any certifications?
As in?
Just any particular certifications that some law enforcement officers receive over the course of their careers?
Yes, I'm MES certified. Obviously, I'm a certified police officer, and we get certified every year in
Firearms?
Yeah, firearms. I wouldn't say they're certifications. We get certified every year in the 40-year in-service for whatever we go over. They could range from anything.
Now, did you have any specialized training with cases involving waterways or lakes?
No, I do not.
Okay. Now, had you had any investigation working in vehicular homicide cases?
Vehicular homicide?
That's correct.
No.
You did work DUIs, I presume?
Yes.
But you never worked a DUI case that resulted in a murder or a homicide?
No.
Are you aware of any of the science about specialized DUI measures with blood analysis, things of that sort?
No.
Okay. You said you left the DeKalb County Sheriff's Department in April of 2016, is that correct?
Yes.
What were the circumstances of your departure?
Me and the sheriff, I didn't want to work narcotics and things like that anymore. I was getting kind of burnt out. Me and the sheriff started butting heads, didn't agree on things, and I just decided I wanted to get out. And one day I just left, and I got out of law enforcement altogether for a while.
What were you and the sheriff butting heads about?
Well, he's particular about things, very particular about looks. Some things he's not particular enough, and some things he's particular about. He stayed on people about just nitpicking and micromanaging, I guess you'd say. And the last time that I got called out was on a child death, and the TBI worked it, and I went out it was like a Saturday. Once again, I wasn't on call, but he called me out to it, and I worked it for about 12 to 20 hours, I guess, something like that, and got done with it on Sunday. Sunday, he called me in the office and wrote me up for not shaving before I came to work, and I was like, called me out on a Saturday when I'm not on call, and said there was a child that had died. That wasn't my first thing that I thought about was shaving, so we kind of butted heads about that, and that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And I said, I got to where I didn't want to do it anymore. I just wanted out of law enforcement altogether.
Did you depart voluntarily, or did he fire you?
Yeah, departed voluntarily.
Do you know whether your personnel file reflects a resignation or a termination?
A resignation.
Okay.
I'm positive.
Okay. Had you previously been disciplined besides the incident regarding the child and not shaving?
Yes, for not shaving.
Same thing?
Yeah, when I was off work. That's kind of what we was arguing about. Both times I wasn't on call and it was weekend. I guess he just wanted you to shave all the time.
How many prior infractions did you receive?
Just those two.
Anything else verbally?
No.
Hear anything about your clothing?
No.
Now, those are your only, I guess that job is the only job you have besides work in construction, correct?
Yes.
So had you ever been fired
Are
from
you talking about police officer and construction?
That's correct.
Yes.
Those are the only two jobs you've had up till now?
Yes.
Okay. And so it sounds like you've had 3 employers, your grandfather, DeKalb County Sheriff, and now Warren County Sheriff.
No.
You worked in between those two, I guess?
I did. I started with my grandfather, which was Calvin Bain. He's passed away now. Went to the Sheriff's Department, worked for Patrick Ray. I went to, when I left there, I went to work with my great uncle, who's my grandpa's brother-in-law.
What were you doing for him?
Same thing.
Construction?
Yeah, I was a foreman over some apartments in Murfreesboro. They was building. I done that until I left in April, and I think I got done with those in probably August, I would say. Something like
April 2016 to August 2016, you worked as a foreman?
Yes.
Okay.
Then I would say it was around August. It might have been September. It was somewhere in that area. Then I went to Murfreesboro PD. I got hired on there, and I worked there until May. And that city life's just not for me. I left there voluntarily. There was nothing. I just didn't like it. And I went from there. I went to Warren County Sheriff's Department.
So what was the last job you did before Warren County Sheriff's Department?
No. I'll take that back. I'm sorry. I went to, I done traffic control with Mike Hoover after I left Murfreesboro PD. I left one day and started work with him the next because I'd done that a little bit on the side as a side job. It was traffic control in Nashville. It's called PLC. I worked with him until I got hired at the Warren County Sheriff's Department.
Now, the Murfreesboro Police Department job, what did you do for them?
I was a police officer.
And how long was that?
I don't remember exactly when I started. I left in May, less than 6 months.
What were your duties there?
Same, I was just a police officer. I
On
answered
patrol?
call. Yeah.
You have to respond to the radio runs, that sort of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
There was a lot of it.
Yeah. Did you get any specialized training when you were at Murfreesboro?
I did not.
Did they do any sort of training in the beginning, or did they rely on your past certifications?
Both. I didn't have to go through the full. I guess they have a 15-week classroom. I didn't have to do all that. I'd done 8 weeks, I think, maybe 10 weeks, something like that, and I had to do the FTO. Everybody has to do the FTO, and I didn't have to do the FTO as long.
Okay. Now, have you ever been arrested?
No.
Okay. Now, you work drug cases, correct?
Yes.
You ever had any of your drug cases result in suppression of evidence?
No. Not that I can remember.
Okay. You know what I'm talking about, the cases sometimes defendants will move to suppress for a bad stop or something similar?
Yeah, not that I can recall. I'm not saying no, I'm just saying I don't remember any right off the top of my head.
Do you know if any of your cases resulted in statements of defendants being suppressed under Miranda?
Not that I can recall, no.
Okay. Have you ever had an adverse credibility determination by a judge?
No.
Okay. Have you ever gone bankrupt?
No.
Okay. When you left school, that was not the result of any discipline or misconduct?
No.
Okay. And have you ever been fired from a job?
No.
Okay. Has anyone on a job or at school ever accused you of fraud, dishonesty, deceit, or misrepresentation?
No.
I think before we get into the specifics of this investigation, I'm going to take about a 5-minute break, if that's okay with you.
Yes, that'd be fine.
Let me see if there's one more thing I want to clear up.
Time is 10:54 a.m. and we are off the record.
Thank you.
Time is 11:05 a.m. and we are officially back on the record.
Okay, Mr. Taylor, you understand you're still under oath?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you've given us a little bit of detail about the way that you were first kind of called into this case. I just want to go back to that and kind of start from there chronologically.
Yes, sir.
As I understand it, you were on call the weekend of July 25th, 2015, the weekend
Yes.
Lauren died.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that was part of a standard rotation for detectives in the DeKalb County Sheriff's Department?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you learned about the fact that there had been a death from your colleague, Detective Patrick.
Yes.
Okay. Was the case assigned to you solely because you were on call?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any conversations with Sheriff Ray about the assignment of you to this matter?
As in to what? Like
Did why you were selected to investigate this case?
No, just because I was on call.
Okay. Did you have any concerns about investigating a case of this sort at the beginning?
Did I have any concerns?
Yes, about your abilities to do so.
No, sir.
Okay. Did you take any steps to prepare for the investigation before you went to the scene?
Went home and got dressed. I mean, not as far as the case goes, no.
Okay. So kind of tell me as best you can recall what happened from sort of that moment forward.
From the time I got there or got the call?
The time you got the call.
Went home, got my patrol car, got dressed, drove to the scene. On the way, I think I was, I think that when the call originally come out, I'm wanting to think that it came out as a child. And I think that was the original call that I got and the reason I was coming back. On the way, I think, best I can recall, it's been, 3 years ago, I believe Robert had called me and told me it's an adult girl. And I think that was about the time that I was almost there. There's not good phone reception down there either, so I couldn't really talk a whole lot. And then I went to the scene, and that's when I told you earlier that he kind of briefed me on what was going on.
Let me stop you there. When you say you got to the scene, where specifically did you drive? I mean, this is a lake, correct?
Yes.
So where did you drive to?
I went to, I think it's called Steel Point.
Okay.
It wasn't at Pates Ford Marina. It was across the lake from Pates Ford. That's where I met Robert Patrick.
Is that an entry point for boats in and out of the water?
It is.
Okay. So it's basically a boat ramp?
Yes.
Okay. And the other detective with DeKalb County was present at the boat ramp?
Yes.
Okay. Why was he at that particular boat ramp?
I do not know.
Okay. Do you know if that's the ramp where they took the boat out that had Lauren's body?
I don't know.
Do you know where Lauren was taken out of the water?
I don't. I wasn't there.
Okay. So when you arrived, what were you briefed on?
That they had found her, that they believe it to be Lauren Agee, because her friends had found her. I think that her friends was on a boat out in the lake with someone else. That, let's see, she got found. She was down there with her friends, who they thought she was, and where they was camping. And then I think they had taken statements or was gathering statements at that time. And I don't remember which other deputies down there. I think Brian Williams was a deputy down there, and I think Eric Russell. Brian Williams is now a detective. But I think that's the two that I can remember, and they might have been one more, maybe two, but I can't remember them.
Okay.
And they were taking statements.
Where were they taking statements?
There on the ramp.
So did you see, when you were at the ramp, who did you physically see present?
I don't remember. There was so many people there. I don't remember who all was there.
Okay. Well, I also want to go back a little bit about what you just said. When you said they found her in the water, who specifically are you referring to?
That I guess the fishermen found her in the water, and they called the sheriff's department or TWRA. I don't know who exactly they called, but called down there. The sheriff's department went, and that's when I guess Robert and the TWRA went out there. I don't know how that. I wasn't there at that time.
Do you know if Robert was with TWRA when they found the body?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you know which law enforcement agency was first on the scene?
I don't.
Okay. And just to be clear, you were the lead agent investigating this death at the time.
I wouldn't say I was the lead. I was there with the other detective.
But you were assigned.
We don't have leads, I guess you would say.
You were the most senior detective.
Yes.
And ultimately,
on this scene.
Yeah, and ultimately you'd be the one to make any sort of investigative decisions if there was an investigative practice.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I wouldn't be. I mean, if I was to say something that he didn't agree with or that the sheriff didn't agree with, no, I wouldn't. I couldn't override that.
Okay. So explain your role as an investigator, as a detective, generally.
I mean, we generally we work the scene. You know, we go through. We always work together on most things. Some things we work by ourselves, but most things we work together, and that's what we was doing with this. You know, I wouldn't say I was any more lead than he was. I just was on call, and I ended up doing, you know, the interviews and things like that.
Okay.
Because I guess I did have the most experience.
So when you arrived at the scene and you were told that there was a dead young girl or dead adult girl, as you describe it, in the water, what investigative steps did you believe needed to take place at that time initially?
Gather the statements from the people that was there, try to gather information about who last seen her, what happened, things of that nature. I went to where they was camping at, went there. I took photographs of that scene. I don't remember if they had the Aaron Lilly and Christopher Stout and her friends there go to the sheriff's department. I think that's where we was going to meet up with them. The time I was down there photographing everything, and we ended up doing that. And when I left there, I went to the hospital where the body was, and to meet with Lauren's mom and dad.
So I kind of want to take you through this even slower. You said you went to the campsite, took some photographs.
Yes, sir.
What was the purpose of that?
Just to gain information, to see if anything looked out of place, anything looked odd, things of that nature.
What would look odd? What would be the sort of thing which would draw your attention as an investigator?
Well, I mean, there could be lots of things. I mean, it depends on what you're working. I mean, if there was a bunch of blood there, I mean, we know that something happened. There was, I mean, I really don't know. It's just scene to scene. Depends on what you're doing.
Okay. And what's the purpose of talking to the other people and getting their stories to, as you say, find out what happened?
Just to find out what happened.
Okay. When you work investigations and interviewing people, what steps, if any, do you take to get the most accurate information from those individuals? As far as like a single individual or a group, if it's a group, I try to not let them talk as much as I can, which in this case was not possible because they was already together. They went to the sheriff's department, but I would go and take my initial interview with them, work the crime scene, work whatever I had to find out. If there was any questions I had to ask after the fact, then I'd go back and ask them. What's the purpose of separating individuals when you speak to them?
So they don't get a story.
In this case, by the time you arrived on the scene, they had been together for some period of time?
I don't know if they was together or not then. I know they was when they went to the sheriff's department.
And why was that?
I don't know. I don't know why. I guess it's because they rode together.
Okay, so as far as you're aware, the individuals we're talking about here, Aaron Lilly, Hannah Palmer, Christopher Stout, Rick Gambrell, or I guess just the three of them, Aaron Lilly, Hannah Palmer, Christopher Stout, drove together to the sheriff's department?
As far as I know, I didn't make contact with them after that night.
Was there a reason you did not speak to them on the scene?
One of them was on a boat, and I was up there taking pictures and trying to gather information, and they had already got a statement from the deputies.
Okay. And who was that on the boat?
Who was on the boat?
Yes.
I don't recall.
Male, female?
The two males, as far as I know.
And what boat were they on?
I don't know whose boat it was.
And you said when you arrived on the scene that they identified the body as being the body of Lauren Agee. Do you know how they did that?
No, they believed it to be Lauren Agee. They didn't identify it, as far as I know.
And what was the basis of that belief?
Their friends said that they was missing.
Lauren's family gives their full permission for any and all details to be shared in hope that the truth will come out. If you know anything at all, call 1-888-599-0008 or email tips@SheilaWysocki.com. Next time on Without Warning.
Did you ask anyone at the department at the hospital to conduct a rape kit
No, I did
examination?
not.
Okay.
The pathologist, I think, when I took it, does that.
Do you know whether or not you as a detective have to request that they do that?
No.
Would it surprise you that that request has to be made specifically to the medical examiner for them to do so?
Yes.
Without Warning. Host, Executive Director, and Executive Producer, Sheila Wysocki. Producers, Katie Zitzman and Aaron Parker. Editors, Katie Zitzman and Aaron Parker. Mixing and mastering by Resonate Recordings. Narrator, Tim Evans. Thank you for listening to Without Warning. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and leave us a quick review to help others discover it too. If you or someone you know knows something about this case or the people involved, you can submit tips by emailing tips@SheilaWysocki.com.